of truth. For the next half hour, I will control everything you see. And remember, under my roof, all truth is masked by fiction. Shall we go then through the corridors of confusion?
So come now, judge for yourself if the stories you are about to see are true or false.
Sometimes TV is like the world, so utterly unbelievable. And yet, sometimes...
Most, if not all of us, have dreamed at one time of returning to the town in which we grew up, with our face in the papers and more money than we can spend in our pockets. Lewis Jackson has. Most of us, in our nightmares, have imagined that we've committed some act so shameful that we're unable to walk down the street without the glances of everyone we meet piercing us like arrows. Lewis Jackson has. And now imagine both the dream and the nightmare are true at one and the same time. For Lewis Jackson, it's a reality. A reality that has transformed Lewis Jackson's purchase of this unremarkable little cafe into the most astonishing event in the history of this most unremarkable little town.
Well, we're always delighted to have people come back to live with us. Lewis grew up here, of course, and we're delighted to have him back here. Just as we'd welcome anybody coming back home.
I think he's got a lot of nerve coming back to the town in the first place and buying a snack bar.
I think he ought to open it, and I think people ought to support him.
You know, my dad says we ought to tar and feather him, but, you know, I don't think we should go that far.
Yes, this is Eddie Woodall of the National Examiner. I'm trying to get in touch with Lewis Jackson. Is he in? He's not. Well, I am here following up this story, and this is what my readers like to hear. This is an outrageous story. Lewis is a local boy from here. And a few years back, he went up to Alaska. And when he was there, he hired on as a construction worker on the Alaskan oil pipeline. Now, a little while later, he was involved in a plane accident. He was in a light plane, which was forced to make a crash landing in the Alaskan mountains, way off in the middle of nowhere. Now, two of the guys that were on the plane were relatively unhurt, and they left the crash site, went off looking for help. But Lewis and his boss got banged up pretty badly, and they had to stay at the crash. Well, 3 weeks later, help did come. It took 3 weeks before the rescue squad could even get there, and they expected to find nobody there but 2 dead bodies. To their amazement, they found Lewis still alive. You see, in the meantime, his boss died, and Lewis ate the man in order to stay alive.
Well, we changed the front of the building a little bit and fixed that up nice. Kept the name the same. It still says Chris's. We thought about changing it, but decided to keep it as people remembered it. It's kind of a tradition around here. So inside is pretty much the same. Serve the same food. We added a jukebox, but other than that, we just wanted to keep it as the place people remember coming to.
I mean, we've been going there for 25 years, I have, and my little group on Saturday morning, I can't go in that place anymore.
He stayed on in Alaska, and a story started circulating in Anchorage that Lewis had actually killed his boss in order to survive, in order to eat him. Well, Lewis got hooked up with a lawyer there, and the two of them sued a newspaper and a couple of fellows who were spreading that rumor, and they won a handsome settlement out of court. And with that money, Lewis returned home. And when he got home, he married this local girl, and then I get a tip-off that he's about to open this cafe. I mean to tell you, the man has a lot of nerve.
You know, I'm never going to let my son go there. I mean, it's just seems, oh, I don't know. wrong somehow after everything that's happened.
Well, as long as he's just serving hot dogs and chickens, then I think that'll be all right. People won't be at least worried about his past.
I don't think it was insensitive at all. People are blaming him for what he did, but what was Lewis supposed to do? Just crawl in a hole? He did what he had to do to survive in Alaska.
Well, some people probably are a little jealous of the money I brought back, but I didn't get as much money as people are saying.
But how much was it?
It's not as much as they're saying. But this is just me coming back to the town, able to get back on my feet.
Do you think you deserved it?
Yeah. Well, there's sometimes when I regret what I did. They say dying in the cold's the easy way to go. You just get all warm and go to sleep. But I think anyone would have made the decision, and I'm just come back, got married, got the restaurant, trying to get my life back on track after the decision's made. Nothing I can do now.
Isn't there any other kind of work that you could have got here?
Well, when I was up there in the snow, my hands got frostbit, and what happens is the water inside your fingers starts swelling, and it messes up your nerves real bad. I can't really pick up anything without tingling. Sometimes it really hurts really bad. And it's just this came up, and since all I've done all my life is manual labor, and I couldn't use my hands for that anymore. It was Carol's idea to buy the place, but we both discussed it for a while before we just sat down and said, yeah, let's buy it. Well, a lot of people are talking about it, saying it's disgusting, but they all want me to tell them about it. And it's just when you're out there in the cold and you're freezing to death, they don't know how crazy someone can get.
And I mean, do you think it was the right decision to make?
I don't think they just don't know how crazy you can get out there. I was starving and freezing, and there wasn't another decision.
Do you think anyone would have made that decision?
I think so.
Tomorrow at 6, we're having a reopening. We've been working on it for a couple of weeks, but it's going to be a big night, and I think people will enjoy coming there.
And what happens if they don't?
Well, we'll find out. I think, this is a test to see what the people in this town are like, and if they come, they come, and if not, we'll worry about that then.
You got your little way, hurt me and know just how to tear me up, leave me in small pieces on the ground. You got your little way, hurt me and not to bed, they're real tough, one cold.
Real well. Kids came out and had a good time. The only problem I see is if they were coming out for the cameras. If they didn't come just for the cameras, things are going to be okay.
If the shame of Lewis Jackson's nightmare in the snows of Alaska will never quite leave him, he can at least thank the good people of Red Ridge, Alabama, for allowing him the freedom to live out his dream of the local boy who made good.
Truth shines brightly, but sometimes it blinds our vision.
Great story. Yeah. Didn't you find that his acting in it was... I mean, if it was...
So you're convinced that he was an actor?
I'm convinced he was, because if he wasn't, if it was for real, he'd have a lot more emotions about him for what happened with his boss.
Well, you know that stuff goes on. You know there was that plane crash in the Andes where people survived. That was for kind of...
That's true. There was something about the girlfriend.
You see, she and him didn't sound like they'd grown up in the same place.
And if I'd been out there and thought, and you're out there in the middle of Alaska, you do anything you've got to do to survive, you're not going to feel guilty about anything you've done.
No, I don't think so.
I don't actually think it was true, because you could tell he was an actor. I mean, and there's no way how he come across to me. The whole thing, I think, is really a bit of a farce.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that, I'm not convinced by the guy, not convinced by the town, not convinced by his girlfriend, not convinced by all the people who live there. But I'm not really convinced that Red Ridge, Alabama exists, or even if the town that we saw in the film was Red Ridge, Alabama.
Because I believed him and his close family actually could very well exist. So I think that the film maybe was made in a way just to throw us off the trail almost, because it's such a believable story, and as you said, there was that plane crash. So maybe it was almost like a double bluff.
So, they're saying it's false. Now, let's see if you judged my first film correctly. True or false? Just leave now, but consider my other tale. If you visit the House of Truth next week, I promise to reveal the answer.
Remember last week's true or false? Now watch and see if you guessed correctly.
Well, I am here following up this story, and this is what my readers like to hear. This is an outrageous story.
There's sometimes when I regret what I did. They say dying in the cold is the easy way to go. You just get all warm, go to sleep.
To their amazement, they found Lewis still alive. You see, in the meantime, his boss died, and Lewis ate the man in order to stay alive. He up and turned cannibal.
It's just when you're out there in the cold and you're freezing to death, they don't know how crazy someone can get.
And then I get a tip-off that he's about to open this cafe. I mean to tell you, the man has a lot of nerve.
I tell you, nothing tastes better than swallowing human flesh. And I hope you swallowed the story with as much pleasure, because nothing tastes better than a great big lie.
Join me next in the House of